Well, Gillian Robertson is back finally. She might agree with that statement too. UFC Vegas 114, March 14th. Gillian, how are we doing?
I think it's too close to say finally yet. And my last one was called 4 hours before the fight. So we got to wait until we say we're back yet. But yeah, hopefully, if everything goes well, March 14th, we're back.
I didn't want to be that guy, but yes, it's been an interesting, I guess, 2025. We haven't seen you since, March or May, I believe. And I know you expressed some frustrations just with the pullouts and the cancellations. So what's up with that? Why was it such a wonky 2025 for you?
I think May was my last fight. So I think it was really just my positioning in the division and how the division was set up. For a long time, a lot of the girls who were ranked above me were all matched currently. So I didn't have an available matchup. We were struggling to find me a matchup. I had girls that were injured, girls that said no, girls that I want to say I heard tested positive that pulled out. So I'm like, there's a lot of different reasons why I'm like, it just hasn't played in my way. Or even like this last one on a medical pullout, it was on fight day. We were ready to go. I'm like, I had the hair braider knocking on my door, and then it was just all fell apart. So yeah, it's definitely been frustrating. My most inactive year ever so far. So hopefully 2026 we can turn that around and at least get 2, maybe 3 in.
And I'm friends with Aaron Blanchfield, who experienced something similar against Macy Barber. Literally, Aaron walked out, was waiting for Macy to walk out, fights off. So I got to get some of that perspective from her and to have her talk about that. But how do you feel about, having a fight not just canceled, but like you said, 4 hours before the fight?
I can't imagine Aaron's situation. Literally having your walkout music playing. I'm like, it wasn't that bad, but it just feels like, honestly, like emotionally, I processed it as a loss. For like 2 weeks, I felt like I was like depressed. It was just, I didn't have that joy of the win. And I feel like my body with like dumping from adrenaline, I was just like, I don't know. It feels like it's just been camp after camp of a lot of hard work, and now we just got to start all over again. So it definitely was very frustrating.
Now, are you glad you got the rebook against Amanda Lemos, or like, is that the fight you wanted most of all to kind of get that closure?
I guess I didn't really care at that point. Part of me is like, I don't know if I can trust her. I don't know if I can trust her to show up. I don't know if like she is going to be reliable, if I am going to get to step in the cage on March 14th. So I'm like, I guess there's that part of my mind, but opponent wise, I'm like, I think she's an ideal matchup for me. So it's like, I think she is a perfect stepping stone to get to the title for me. So there's no argument with that part.
And I mean, yeah, I know you've been talking about this fight for a bit now, but talk to me about the styles here. A lot of people say, you got the grappling advantage. She might have the striking advantage. And then I've seen people say, she did okay in the later rounds against Tatiana Suarez. How does that play out against you when you're grappling in the later rounds? So what are your thoughts on this fight and matchup?
I feel like with someone like Tatiana let her have the energy in the later round. She was just kind of holding her there, not making Lemos work. And I think that's where I guess I'm going to have my advantages is that I feel like I transition a lot more in my grappling. I'm going to really be able to drain her, so she's not going to be there in the later round. She's going to be gassed by that point if she makes it that far. I feel like we're really going to try to draw the fight out of her. I know that she's going to come in there trying to kill me. Like, I feel like that's kind of her style. She throws a lot of really big, heavy punches swinging from the pocket. And that's just going to give me more and more opportunity to find my holes. And I don't see it going 3 rounds.
This is a compliment. You're a wet blanket when it comes to grappling. You don't give people any space. It's impressive to watch. It's suffocating to watch. So you feel like you have the tools to get her out of there early, maybe with a submission?
Oh, yeah. When I fought Courtney Casey, it was like right at the beginning of COVID. So we find the apex where it's like 0 people in there, absolutely silent. And I think it was in between round 1 and 2. She walked back to her corner and she was like, she's like a wet blanket. And I'm like, I walked back to my corner like, yeah, I am. But yeah, I think that's going to be my ideal. I think with any matchup, that's my ideal path to victory. I think it's my ideal path to finishing fights too, obviously. I think but my past shows that once we get it on the floor, I don't think there's any girl that can really hang with me in this division.
And this isn't me talking. This is just me reading Twitter and seeing fans. But it's been like a common theme, people talking about this fight. I don't know if you've put this all together, but Michelle Waterson's last fight was you. Lost, retired. Marina Rodriguez's last fight was you, lost, retired. Amanda Lemos is 38 years old. If she loses here, do you retire Amanda Lemos too?
Honestly, after my last fight, when I fought Marina Rodriguez on the mic, that's what I called for. I said, I'm ready to retire Amanda Lemos. So I'm like, it's been what I've been calling for since May. So I'm like, it's a year in the making.
Well, I'm looking forward to this fight finally happening in about a month and a half or so. But I think I'm actually interviewing Amanda next week. So if this happens, anything you want me to relay?
I guess nothing specifically. I know that it's like, what are you going to do? Talk shit and she's going to come fight me harder. You know, we're already both going in there to kill each other. So I'm like, at the end of the day, I think that we're both going to bring our best performance. And I don't know. I just see me getting my hand raised, but I'm like, she already knows that deep in her heart.
And you said this is a great fight to propel you to the top. She's number 5. So I assume you get a win. You're looking at the top 5, yes?
Oh yeah, 100%. Hopefully if I get a win, I'm looking at a title shot after this. That's what I would like. That's what I would be calling for. They were talking a lot about Tatiana being like in the picture for the next title shot originally whenever Mackenzie won. And like Lemos was her last opponent with, I don't think she had an impressive win. I think that if I can go out there and have an impressive win over Lemos, I don't see why it doesn't put me in that position.
We're in the important stuff, but you got to introduce the dog real quick.
This is Gordo.
Hey, Gordo. Nice to meet you. Welcome to the interview. Welcome to Home of Fight, Gordo. Now, you said with a win, you're going to be calling for that title shot. As a fan, totally makes sense. But I would argue, Weili Zhang, you don't think she fits into that picture?
She definitely does. I guess my hope, fingers crossed, is that she typically takes some time off. I'm like, she's not the most active fighter, usually fighting once a year. So I'm hoping that I can kind of slip in there before she's ready.
Well, and you and Mackenzie Dern would be a great fight, at least on paper. I mean, 2 Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu specialists going at it, absolute dogs. So how does that fight play out? Is that one of these that's like, yeah, we're going to show our black belts, or no, it's going to end up being a striking fest? Who knows?
No, I think that's a fight that's been like, I don't know, slowly coming together for years at this point. I feel like everybody has wanted to see it because it's like I have the most submissions in the UFC. I am like the top MMA grappler. She is the big, like, she's world champion in jiu-jitsu, absolutely killed it outside of the UFC in jiu-jitsu, gi and no gi. So I'm like, she's such a big jiu-jitsu girl. For us to match each other, I think it's what the fans really want to see. And I'm like, if anything, I'm like, I think that gives me a little bit of a step up too, where I'm like, I know it's what the fans want to see, is that it's going to be, I think everybody thinks it's going to be a great grappling matchup, but I think it's going to be MMA on my side while she's trying to grapple me.
Do you have any prior experiences at all with Mackenzie Dern, either in jiu-jitsu, MMA? Have you ever met her at like a UFC card or anything like that?
The only time I've ever met her is once she was at a UFC card, and I actually didn't even realize it was her. She had her dog with her, which was a huge like cane corso. I think it was giant dog, and I ran up to it. I was like, "Oh my gosh, a puppy!" And then I looked up and I saw Mackenzie holding the leash, and I was like, "Oh."
Was it awkward, or was she like, "Oh yeah, hey"? Like, how did that go down?
Yeah, she was nice. I'm like, everybody I feel like is fairly nice. I'm like, they're behind the scenes, I feel like there's not too much drama, typically speaking.
Now you get the win. UFC's like, "Hey, we love the title shot, but you got to give us one more." Is that something you like have in mind, an opponent or any plan there?
I guess opponent, no, I don't have anyone in mind. 1 through 5 would be cool with me. I'm like, anybody. I feel like if I do want to hold that belt, I do want to call myself the champ. I have to be able to beat everybody underneath me. So it really doesn't matter who they put in front of me. I'm always saying yes, always ready to take the fight. As long as I can make weight and time, I'm good with it.
Now, what kind of champ would you want to be? Are you one of the, I'm going to get a couple big fights in a year, maybe move up back to straw or flyweight, get that belt too? Or you like, nah, I want to be strawweight queen, defend. Any thoughts?
I definitely want to defend and I guess clear out the division before I do move up or have any thoughts of doing something like that. Just as a fan of the sport, there's nothing I hate more than when somebody wins the belt and then moves up. I'm like, there's so many more contenders you have to defend against to really prove yourself. So I'm like, just as a fan, I feel like I'd have to stay there and defend a couple times, make sure that we're taking out a lot of the top contenders. And then if there's no availability, then why not move up?
And just some other big trending women's MMA topics that I want to ask you about. Just two. Dana said the winner of Rose versus Natalia Silva this weekend will probably be next for Valentina Shevchenko. That to me, I feel like the Natalia Silva Shevchenko fight's been brewing for a while, but the Rose side of it surprises me because Rose and Valentina are kind of friends there, and that's like a legacy fight. What are your thoughts on how things play out up at flyweight?
If the Rose and Valentina fight happens, I'm so excited for that.
Oh, yeah.
I think that it would be a great matchup. Earlier this year, I went out and I trained with Rose. Actually, she actually tried to get me out for this Natalia Silva camp. It's just with me having to rebook my fight and now going back into my own camp, I wasn't able to get out there. But I think that her versus Valentina is an absolutely epic fight where Natalia Silva, she's very talented. I just don't think she has the most exciting fighting style. So I think and I'm not saying that she might not beat Rose this weekend either. She has a very high possibility. She has such a way to win fights without doing a lot of damage a lot of times, I feel like, where she's playing on the outside, point fighting, trying to just find her strikes, but also never really committing, getting in there, and I don't know, just being a dog and doing damage. So I'm really hoping Rose wins this one.
I mean, journalist can't be biased, but I'm going to be biased here. I've been a Thug Rose fan since I was I don't know, 16, 17 years old. So that would be great. That's like an Amanda Kayla level fight almost, which leads me to my next question. Do they rebook that fight? I was so upset when that got canceled.
I was more than upset. I've been waiting for this fight for so long.
Yep.
I trained with Amanda at ATT before she was a champion. I've seen her come up. I know just there is no champion I respect more than her because of her dominance and because she's just such a good, humble person. She's just one of the few people in the sport that I see that truly is just confident, but not cocky. She just knows what she's capable of and goes out there and does it. And I just wanted to see that again so much. And my coach, Dean Thomas, has actually been a huge part of her training camp too. So he's been telling me, oh, she's on point. She's looking good. I was just so ready for her comeback. And oh, it was such a huge letdown for this fight to not come through.
I hope they get that one rebooked. There's some fights, it's all right, it fell off. We got to move on. Nah, you have to remake this fight. This is the fight.
Oh, no, it has to happen, especially just for Kayla's legacy. I feel like she can't solidify herself until it does happen.
Sure, 100%. It's not like Amanda's 10 years older. They're right there. So, yeah, this fight absolutely has to happen. I want to switch up a little bit here, and you can tell me to buzz off with this, but pothead to pothead, I'm curious about this. Did you see Fluffy Hernandez and his habits during fight week? Did you see that at all?
No, I did not.
All right. So Anthony Fluffy Hernandez, who's fighting Sean Strickland in a couple weeks here, he said during fight week, he's pretty much high the whole week. He said he stopped smoking for the most part, but he'll be taking edibles, doing some wax and carts and stuff like that. I'm curious. Do you have fight week smoking or marijuana habits at all? Or do you leave it at home and not smoke during fight week? And again, you can tell me to buzz off. It's really none of my business. I'm just curious.
No, me and Fluffy are in the same boat there. I have it's a dry bud vape. So it
Apollo?
Healthy. Excuse me?
Apollo?
It's PAX.
Okay, Apollo sponsors so many UFC fighters. That's why I asked.
Yeah.
Sorry, continue.
No, I have a PAX vape, but so I'm that is the healthiest way to smoke. So I'm I usually am smoking as long as it's legal for the state. I know some states that we can't, but as long as it's legal, I'm usually smoking all fight week, especially weigh-in day. I love to take edibles after I weigh in. I'm just gives you the munchies, makes you hungrier, makes you able to eat more. I think it's a benefit. So I'm definitely all fight week. It's just obviously fight day we can't do it, but I'm as long as it's legal, I'm doing it.
And you don't wait long after the fight to get going. You're always posting pictures immediately after, we're back.
100%. That's the celebration.
Now, you what is it? I guess athletic commissions or medicals, you can't be high during a fight, right? That's how that works.
Yeah, that's how it is for most states. Is you can't be high walking in the cage, but I know they used to have it where you couldn't have like a certain level of THC in your system. I know that still is for certain states, just depends on the athletic commission. So I know, like when I first got in the UFC, I would have to stop for 5 days before every fight just to make sure that I was good, where most states are okay now. So we're all good fight week.
Now, I mean, how does that compare? Like having a fight week where you can, because people say what they will about smoke and health and whatever, but I think just not being stressed and having that, like, that vice throughout the week is probably beneficial to health anyway. So what's a fight week like where you can normally smoke or take edibles, whatever, do your habits compared to one where you can't?
I guess it honestly doesn't make too huge of a difference. I feel like you're so like focused in that week. So it's like when you don't have it, it's like you're not even thinking about it. When you do have it, it is definitely nice to go back to your hotel room and just, have an ability to just like take a deep breath and chill and just relax for a little bit. But when you're not having it, like I said, you're just so in the moment about the fight. So it's like you don't even think about it. And then
I don't fight, obviously. I do, some training. I roll and stuff like that. And I certainly like to do so after smoking a doobie or something like that. Do you also train high? And like, I guess if not, or if so, even what are just some of your favorite, typical pothead activities?
no, I think I think I'm past the point of like typical pothead activities. I'm like
I
folding
understand.
laundry. Like we got to smoke a bowl before we go fold laundry. Smoke a bowl before we go to the park. Like I think we're beyond the typical activities. It's just we wake up and we go.
Sounds like you guys would get along with me and my wife very well. So maybe you guys can come up with Dean Thomas sometime, or I'll come down to Florida, whatever. We can all hang out. But Gillian, just outside of the cage this year, right? What goals do you have? Everyone always talks about, UFC title, goals inside of the octagon. What about outside of the cage? What do you want to do for yourself?
Gosh, that's a hard question right now. Honestly, I'm like, I feel like I am just so obsessed with the title. It's like, it's a 15-year goal that I feel like I'm this close to right now is getting that title. So I think really that is just my main priority. Guess I've been dealing with a little bit of health issues I've had a bad hip. So I'm like, that's my main priority too, is just, I guess outside of fighting is just health, making sure that I'm taking care of everything on that aspect.
My last question for you, and this is kind of putting you on the spot. So if it's not going to work, it's not going to work. But Mount Rushmore, obviously, 4 presidents, right? I like to do this with fighters, ask them about Mount Rushmore or something. I feel like I want to ask you, who's your Mount Rushmore for most dangerous submission threats in the UFC?
I think the obvious one that you have to put up there is Oliveira.
Yep.
I think he has like 30 submissions in the UFC. He has an insane amount. I think one of the dark horses up there is Jim Miller. I'm like, I know he has a lot up there too. Like he's definitely always attacking I don't know, other submission threats. I feel like he's I don't know, I want to say he's not as like known for it yet, but I see him making a big name for himself in it. It would be Chase Hooper.
Okay.
I'm like, I don't know, I'm just trying to think of people who I'm like, he's constantly attacking, constantly going for the finish. I'm like, that's someone who I feel has a very jujitsu heavy game in MMA. One more.
What about unbiased? Like, seriously, unbiasedly, do you consider yourself on there at all? Don't you have the most submissions in women's MMA, or at least when you were in flyweight?
Yeah, I have most submissions out of any woman currently, and then I'm tied for most finishes with Amanda. But yeah, I definitely, I guess you could put me on there too. I don't know. I was thinking on the men's side more than anything else.
Well, I mean,
but
you got to consider Bryce Mitchell with the twisters. Yeah, you got to consider Ryan Hall, just with how funky he used to be. I don't know. That's
Ryan Hall is a great one to put up there. Honestly, I've rolled with Ryan Hall once, and we did like it had to be like a 20-minute round. Like it just kept going, and it was just a flow round. Like neither one of us were using strength, and I've never had a harder round of jujitsu where I was just like every single place I was like, no, you're setting me up. No, you're setting me up. Every single move that he did, I just didn't feel safe in moving in any direction because he is like his nickname. He's such a wizard. So I'm like, he's definitely up there. I'm taking Chase down and putting Ryan up.
I love it. I love it. So the official Mount Rushmore, I believe we have Charles Oliveira, Chase Hooper, or sorry, Jim Miller. Ryan Hall, and yourself.
Yes.
I think it's legit. I love it. Jillian, I also appreciate the time today. Thank you very much. Before I get you out of here, anything for all your fans ahead of this fight?
Nothing. Just come watch me get my hand raised on March 14th. As long as I get in the cage.
Love as long as I get in the cage. We're hoping you get in the cage. Long overdue. Gillian Robertson, thank you so much. March 14th, UFC Vegas, 114. Don't miss it.